Are you thinking about getting married in the Tetons and you're just curious to learn more about it? Maybe you're right at the beginning stages of your wedding planning process. Then tune in because I am going to record myself doing an Instagram live with Kayla of Foxtail Photography. She is an amazing photographer based in Wyoming. So if you're thinking about getting married there, then she would be the perfect resource for you. So join along on this interview and you can kind of watch as we talk about different things related to wedding videography and getting married in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And if you're looking for a wedding videographer for your wedding or elopement in Jackson Hole, then click on the link below and be sure to reach out to see if I have the date available. I'd love to chat with you about your plans.
Hey, all right, we are live. Okay, so today I'm going to be joined with Craig Flood of Watertown Films, and we're going to be chatting about why couples should hire a videographer for their Jackson Hole wedding. All right, well, you guys, I am joined here with Craig from Watertown Films, and he is one of my, not just one of my, probably my absolute favorite videographer to work with for all of my Jackson Hole weddings. We had several weddings together last season, and I'm looking forward to having weddings again with him this year. But we are going to be tapping into why couples should be hiring a videographer for their Jackson Hole wedding today. And Craig, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we can dive into it.
Yeah, my name's Craig. I own Watertown Films. Have done this for over 12 years. I can tell more about that. But to pull back the curtain, I was in Oregon for the last decade. I moved to Idaho, so now I'm just right next to Wyoming. I've been here for 2 years and love it. I have 4 kids, and I just took one of my boys, he's 5 years old, and I took him up skiing yesterday, and he learned how to ski for the first time. And it's tough. I snowboard, he skis. I wish I skied. It sounds so much easier to teach a kid to ski if you ski. So anyways, so that was fun. So that's kind of top of mind for me.
Yeah, that's so fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's one of the great things about our area is that there's so many wonderful activities. And yeah, skiing and snowboarding is top.
Yeah, it was super fun. It was fun to get away.
Good. Well, cool. Well, Craig, I'm very happy that you're joining us here today. And yeah, like Craig said, he's been in the wedding industry for quite a few years. What I love about Craig, too, is that he has a lot of experience outside of Wyoming because many of the vendors that we have here in Wyoming aren't always like the highest quality just because we're definitely not like backwoods here in Wyoming, but we certainly are a little bit more sheltered and don't always have like as many vendors as a lot of other areas do. So we definitely have like smaller vendor circles for weddings, which is beautiful. But sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to find your vendors. And Craig is just working with Craig makes my life so much easier because I know he has all the shots. I know that he's allowing me to get all of my shots. We actually shoot a lot with the same lens, which is fabulous. And yeah, it's just a dream working with you, Craig.
Thank you. It's so fun to hear.
Yeah.
Wedding days are so like go, go, go.
Yeah, you really are. So, all right. So let's go ahead and dive into it. But in your opinion, share a little bit with us about why couples should hire a videographer for their wedding.
I think the first answer I'll give to that would be for you to ask your friends who have gotten married if they had any regrets, and ask them about video. I think that's going to be your best thing is to hear from them because you trust them, you know them. But usually you'll hear comments if they didn't get video, they'll talk about that, and it could be a regret for them, and then they'll explain why. If they did get video, I think you have two options in they did get video category, which would be they hired somebody who they weren't sold on and they ended up with something mediocre, and then maybe their thought towards video is like, oh, it's not that worth it. But then you'll talk to the couples who did get video and they invested that time and energy to find somebody who's going to do a good job, and then I get the emails. Like when I send out a wedding gallery to couples, I get the email saying, I watched it 20 times. I'm crying. Oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I think those are your three categories. You either regret you didn't get it, you got it, but you didn't hire maybe who you should have, or maybe budget was limiting, or then you have the couples who got it and they absolutely love it, and then they're the ones who are the biggest proponents of it.
Yeah, and to tap into that, you guys, I always recommend videographer for my couples if they can afford it. And I can guarantee you at least 95% of my couples, if they didn't hire a videographer, they regret it. It's usually their number one regret from their wedding day is not being able to have a videographer to like capture that audio, you know, from the vows or from the laughter, you know, maybe from the dad, you know, giving a speech. You know, there's just so much beauty and the emotion that you get in video. And Craig, talking about what the clients were saying, so we had a client together in September, and I think we just delivered the galleries last month, or maybe it was 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
But I literally cried whenever Craig sent out the video. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I'm like texting my bride. I'm like, did you watch it yet?
Did I text you a message I got from her? I can't
I don't
remember.
remember
Okay.
it or not.
Yeah, anyways. It's super fun because couples just don't know what to expect. This is a once in a lifetime thing. They've never done this before. And even if they watch wedding films, I often will tell couples like, hey, I love to learn about them a little bit, get to know their personality, and then I love to say, oh, great, let me show you this film. It will really connect with you. Because I think couples, and this would go for anybody, but they could go to my work and say, oh, I didn't connect with that. And then I could say, well, but you're not them. It's not designed as so to connect with you. It was designed for them, and there's things in that film that you just don't get. In a general sense, okay, I'm gonna have to pause it for 1 second, jump right back onto adjust the setting.
I'm going to quick talk to you guys about a couple comments too. And also, hi everybody, if you're just joining us, we are here with Craig of Watertown Films. He'll be back in just a second. But we are talking about why you should hire a videographer for your wedding day. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments. If you're watching this after we record it, please feel free to send us a DM or an email. Happy to address your questions. But we actually have Wildflower of Portland, who is a florist up in Oregon. She commented about how she hears from couples who post their video on social media that they watch it every day. And it's true. I watch my couples' videos on social media as much as possible. I can't tell you guys, like, it is so exciting for me the second that I see a video comes in, and it just, like, I love reliving that day with my clients too. And oftentimes it is, you know, photography is just like video, where sometimes we do have very unique things for each client. And whenever we capture something unique for that client, that was something that they specifically requested. Hi, everybody. Then, you know, sometimes other clients might not relate to that. But like, I had a client, not last year, but the year previously, where they had this wonderful wedding. And in the midst of like their speeches, her dad was like, he was streaming a football game because they were big, what was it, Bama fans. I think that's where they went to school at, if I remember that right. And so I went up and I was like snapping photos of the dad watching this football game with the bride and the groom in like the background, like doing their first dance or speech or whatever it was. And it was just so funny. And that was, she told me, like, one of her favorite photos from like the wedding album, because they eventually like called the dad out and was like, I can't believe that we're here on our wedding day and my dad is streaming the football game and not paying any attention. So every wedding's so unique and beautiful, and it's just really fun to be able to capture certain things for each couple that nobody else has. So that goes in both photo and video. But yeah, hopefully Craig will be back here in just a second. And once he's back, we'll kind of tap a little bit more into video. As I own, most of you know, but I own Foxtail's Photography as well as Foxtail's Weddings. And our businesses, it's our little sister business. And so we have full service planning and florals with my sister business, Foxtail's Weddings. And then Foxtail's Photography, we do photography as well as videography. With my clients, I actually recommend that my clients hire one of the videographers on my list. And that's always what I recommend. If it doesn't fit into their budget, that's where we can look over some of my videography packages and then see how that pairs in, just because there are certain needs for everybody. But Craig is my #1 videographer on my list. That's why I'm doing this video here with him today. And it looks like he's back. I was just chatting a little bit about videography and, you know, recommending a videographer. And I was essentially going to tap into, you're the top videographer on my list. And one of the reasons why is I know that on a wedding day, we work extremely well together. And I know that you are such high quality, that you go up early, you provide such a great service, but you also make my job easier. And I know that you're not getting in my shots, and just how important that is to have a team that works really well together. Because last year, as you know, I worked with some horrendous videographers that ruined not just, photographs for my couple, but they were like in both my shots and my associate shots. And it was just a non-stop situation. And that just sometimes comes with hiring amateur videographers that maybe don't know what they're doing. So anyway, you can tap onto that any that you want, or we can kind of go back to why couples should hire a videographer, and you can continue that.
Yeah, I'll tap onto that. There's multiple ways that I can serve couples, and one of the ways that I can do it is by serving you on the wedding day and being very attuned to your shooting style and how you like to do things, like looking at your lenses and what's your focal length, so that, like, perfect example would be when we shot the first look right outside of Jackson Hole Golf and Tennis, and we're kind of in the field and the grass. And both you and I are thinking, like, how much freedom, because it's not just me and it's not just you. If it was just you, you could do whatever you wanted. But I'm thinking, how much freedom do I have to move around so that I don't negatively impact your photos? And so it's always this dance. It's like one eye on the couple and then one eye on, like, gosh, what are you doing? How are you going to shoot this? What angle are you going to take so that I'm not in it? I always want to be the first to accommodate. So, for example, like when her dad was coming out to see her, he was coming out around the house, and it's like, okay, great, where you want to be? Great, I'll just go there, right? So I just love to accommodate. And then the fun thing about me is that just forces me to do things differently. Though I still approach things the same way, it's the same style, but it's just fun because I get to see it through your eyes and how you want to frame it up compositionally in a photo. So I would say that, but when couples think about it, when you're hiring a team, and this is why couples often ask when they hire a photographer or planner, like, who do you like to work with? And I'm assuming they're doing that, one, because they want a sure bet. They don't want to gamble on their wedding day because there's no repeats. But on another layer of it, it's you're essentially getting somebody who you've already worked with, who it causes things to go smooth on the wedding day. Like bringing together completely independent professionals, like a planner with their company, a photographer with their company, a videographer with their company, a DJ. And we all have to play like a team. And if we don't do that, that's where friction starts getting introduced. So if you have poor communication, it's going to be tough. There's just so many layers to it.
No, there is. Communication is really key. It really helps the couple to just relax that their wedding day is, created by the best and documented by the best. And it is like being communicate, pre-ceremony with you, where your camera's going to go. I want to make sure, we get this shot in this shot, but I don't want to be in your shot because, that's the other thing. If you have vendors that don't work well together, or, maybe you have one pro and then one amateur, then you're potentially compromising the quality of both because, if they set their stuff up in the wrong place, or if they get in the road, then you could be missing getting a shot of the first kiss or of this or of that. And so it's just really great to hire vendors that have worked together, or that are very experienced. So
that's definitely a best case scenario. And I think couples, say they hire somebody like you, and maybe videography was on the back burner. I'm going to paint a scenario that I think happens where videography is on the back burner, and then they hire somebody on the cheaper end in relation to everything else that's going on. And in their mind, that's not going to create any negative impacts on the wedding day. They'll just think, oh, my film just won't be like that one guy's, or it won't be to the quality of that one company's. But then you hear stories being in the wedding industry. Obviously, I don't get these stories because if they hire me, they get me. But I hear stories from photographers where there was one, Ben Heisch, I was chatting with. He's a photographer out of Seattle. And he told me the story where they went cheap on the videographer. And the first look was about to happen. and the bride is about to tap the groom on the shoulder, and the videographer yells stop or something like that because he wasn't ready. I think after that, I think the bride cried, but she had no idea. I don't think she would have envisioned that hiring a cheaper wedding videographer without the experience was gonna. I think she would have thought it would have been neutral, but
Yeah.
not negative in that way. And I think looking back at that, she's probably somebody who tells her friends like either get a professional or just don't do it.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's true. I definitely hear horror stories too. You've heard some of my own horror stories where yeah, anyway, we won't even get in. We could go on and on
Yeah, we
about
could go on about horror stories. Let's take some positive
we,
things.
but that's why you want to really interview your people. You want to ask them if they've worked well together. Once you hire a quality vendor, Jessica! We were just
Oh, hey,
talking.
Jessica, we're talking all about you.
You
All
guys,
good.
one of our favorite brides from 2022. And she's the one that we keep talking about today.
Love
Full wedding. We will share her wedding videos and photos after this Instagram live. So stay tuned. Oh my gosh. Well, cool. Well, let's tap back into, let's see, what were we talking about right before you left? Now I forgot again.
That's okay. I think it was like intro. We can go whichever direction you want to go.
Yeah. I definitely think, so obviously we talked about reasons why. Oh, you're okay, Jessica. We understand. It's been the holidays. Okay. It's very busy. Stay tuned for Jessica's review, guys. We're putting the pressure on her. She's going to give us some reviews soon. No. So reasons why couples should hire videography is because you're going to rewatch that video all the time. Number one, the florist that was on here earlier said that. And I watch my videos all the time, but it's just like photos. Like you go back and relive that day. What's really beautiful is you have access to it on your phone, so you can just quick watch videos on your phones. You can watch on your TV, but yeah, those moments, like hearing the audio, like for me too, I saw this beautiful post the other day that said your wedding photographer and videographer, they are going to capture some of the best photos and videos of somebody that you love the most you will not have in the future. That it could be the very last pro photo or video that you have of that person before you lose them. And that really struck me because I lost a parent. And, I always try to talk to my couples about that. Like, we don't like talking about like really sad things like that, but I want couples to really think about like this investment isn't always just about your wedding either. It's about the people that are there and capturing those moments together, like that laughter, the speeches, whatever it is, like those are the people that mean the most to you. And you get that for the rest of your life so that, no matter what happens, you have those moments to go back and look up. So I just went on a deep dive there. But, a lot of couples don't know if they want photo or video. I think majority of couples, once they have the video, they're like, oh my God, thank God. It's one of their favorite things from their wedding day. And Craig and I were talking about how couples don't have a videographer, they often regret it. So moving on past that, we talked about quality. Let's see, what else should we talk about?
I think while it's still fresh, you mentioned loved ones, and things aren't always going to be the way that they are today. Like my uncle's currently passing from cancer, and it's just the people at your wedding. It's this one moment, and you'll never recreate it with those people at that stage of life. And so when you talk about the value in weddings, it's if you take the wedding day out of it and you say, call it a family reunion, you're bringing all these people together on a day surrounding you and your loved one. And things happen on that day that don't normally happen, right? When does your dad typically grab a mic and talk for 10 minutes all about you? It just doesn't happen. And there's and the dance, the father-son dance, there's all these things. And your mom maybe seeing you put on her old dress or the dress you got, it reminds her. I guarantee your mom's thinking like, man, I feel like I just got married yesterday and now you're getting married. And there's just so many layers to it. So there's you guys starting your life together. And then in addition to that, there's all these other things going on. Ideally, it's all these people you love in one place with all these moments that will never repeat themselves. And you have the chance right then and there to say, yes, I want to capture that. I had a bride got married in Cincinnati, Ohio, and her grandfather passed away, but he also officiated
Dearly
the wedding.
beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of God and in the presence of these witnesses.
She called me like a month after the wedding and said, hey, can I get a ceremony film of that? And I'm like, absolutely. And I just have to think that might be some of the best documented video footage they have of Grandpa marrying them. And he made people laugh, he made people cry, and you just think it's going to last forever. And it doesn't.
Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. And so can we have like more grandpas as officiants? Like, I don't know if I've ever seen
Sweet.
really cute. Like, that's so cute. Like, I love for somebody that's close to the couple gets to marry them because it, you know,
They know
like
the stories.
they know the story, and you know that like there's so much more emotion in that. Like, that's what we're documenting. We're documenting those relationships and that emotion. And you know, the beautiful thing about video too is hearing that catch in their voice whenever they get stuff. You know, it's catching the tear. Yes, I can take these beautiful, you know, photos of like teardrops, but it's totally different whenever you see in real life, you hear them getting choked up as the tear, you know, falls down their cheek. And it's just so beautiful. So
I'm reading that comment by Jessica. My grandpa never talks, and he got up at rehearsal dinner and said a few words, and I was so happy Greg got it. Yeah. Like your rehearsal dinner, my gosh. Cries, laughter, lots of laughter. You guys were a rowdy bunch. But again, you get those times where like your rehearsal dinner speeches were super emotional. Like they were just charged. I tell couples that too. That like say you hire a videographer, now you got to go through the process of like, what do you want captured? What do you want to end up with at the end of the day? And I often tell couples, don't forget about the rehearsal dinner. Some of your most personable and emotionally charged speeches can happen the day before your wedding. People are more comfortable. It's less formal. So anyways, I'm always a fan of rehearsal dinner speeches just because I'm selfish and I want really good content to make the films more impactful. But
yeah. No, I love that you mentioned that because you know, it is getting a little bit more common to have like a 3-day or 4-day event because we are having more of these intimate weddings. So couples are being way more selective about who's joining them because they're having a smaller wedding, they can celebrate more. And whether it's a welcome dinner, events like with Jessica and Kevin, you know, you went horseback riding, you were out there videoing them playing golf, you know, you did all these beautiful things. And then for the rehearsal, you know, kind of same thing. Like I talked to him and we figure out where do we want photo? What do we need the most? You know, during some of those speeches, we didn't really need photos. So I showed up, I captured some really great photo. I left, and then you continued the rest of the night to capture those amazing speeches. And so, you know, that's a really great way too, where, you know, your videographer and photographer don't always have to work on the exact same schedule either. So kind of keep that in mind. Like there could be times where you need more video and less photo, and there could be moments where maybe or want more photo and less video. So, you know, you guys really talk to your vendors because every couple is different, every wedding's different. What you want is not the same as another couple. The venues you have, like everything is so unique. And so, you know, your vendors, if you're hiring good quality pro vendors, like they know the venues, they know the other vendors, they'll get to know you, they'll get to know what you want. Craig, I think you're the same as I am, or we send out questionnaires to be like, you know, that ask not just one person, but each person, and both the bride and the groom, or the bride and the bride and the groom and the groom. And we're like, which part of the day is most important to you? And, you know, some couples, they want a lot more coverage during rehearsal, or maybe they want more pre-ceremony. Some people want more after ceremony, you know, it's just different. And so, you know, we really just want to make sure, essentially, at the end of the day, our job is to document the best memories of your life and one of the biggest days of your life. And so being able to capture that effectively, and someone like Craig or I, that we prioritize the candid moments. Like, I don't know that either of us ever set our cameras down unless maybe we're quick grabbing bites to eat. And even then we have our camera right there as we're like scarfing down food. Because if we see something, we want to be able to like instantly capture it. We don't want to miss those moments.
There are planned and unplanned moments. And this is what I tell couples, and I think it helps create a framework for it. But there's the planned moments of, you're going to walk down the aisle. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to do a first look with your dad. It's going to be beautiful. Like, I'm thinking of Jessica's wedding specifically. You're going to put the dress on in front of your mom, and she's going to help you button it up. It's going to be beautiful. He's going to see you walk down the aisle. It's going to be beautiful. And then there's all these other unplanned moments that are not on the timeline. Nobody knows when they're going to happen. All I know is that they are going to happen. And it could be anything. Like, usually I go serious and sentimental on these, but like, even at Jessica's wedding, like, this is really off the cuff, but like, when they were getting married, we're on a golf course. Some golfer literally dropped the F-bomb because he missed a shot in the middle of the ceremony. And it's just funny because if you're there, you're just like, oh, like, really? Like, this is hilarious. But, you know, and I don't know if Jessica and them will ultimately remember that in the long term, but there's little things that you're just like, it's an unplanned event. Like, there's no control. It's live. But, you know, like, even, speeches, first dances, small gestures, small laughs, small chuckles, the way the couple interacts with each other, you catch those moments, and then you can build a highlight film off that.
So even like, you know, let's talk about Angie and Christopher. They were one of our first weddings of 2022. And they got married at the wedding tree, and then they had a reception at Jackson Hole Winery. And we had this beautiful moment where there was a huge herd of bighorn sheep.
Yeah.
And, you know, you stopped and you caught that on film. Like, I caught some of them on photo. And then, you know, we got on to the next spot. But, like, you hung out for a little bit, too. But you got all these beautiful, like, moments of scenery. You got the cool moments of, like, the bighorn sheep. Like, again, like, that's one of the great things about getting married in Jackson Hole, is that sometimes we have, like, this really cool wildlife that pops out, you know. Or, you know, sometimes we have a really cool storm pass through, or there will be unexpected moments, you know, that happens in every wedding day. But I do think we have some really fun, unique ones that maybe happen a little bit more in Jackson Hole because of the beautiful wildlife and scenery. But, you know, it's so cool to be able to pick up some of those things and relive them. I mean, essentially, you're reliving that day.
Yeah, highlighting wildlife, anything like that. It's like when people go get married in Jackson, they're going for the scenery, they're going for the Western field, they're going for the possibility of seeing wolves or bears or moose or whatever it is. And so when we were driving up to the wedding tree, I always want to slip as much wildlife as possible as I can into a film. And I don't expect a bighorn sheep to walk behind them during the ceremony, though that'd be amazing. But it's then saying, oh, there they are. I can grab this real quick and put it in the film, because they probably saw it driving up, and I want them to be able to remember those things. And if that means I got to pull over on the side of the road and cross the street, then see you, Jess.
Yeah, sorry, you guys. Our client was talking a little bit too. She brought up too, like, there was I forgot all about it, but there was.
I forgot the car horn too.
To working hard, doing a job that you love, to finding new hobbies, that is killing the vibe, people.
She had a lot of things. She maybe had the most eventful and hilarious wedding ceremony of the year, maybe, just because she did have some very unexpected moments come up. And it, you know, but that was the other thing too, is we, like, if anything comes up, the great other thing about hiring a pro team is, like, we quickly adapt. Like, we, you know, California, we had, I mean, do we even want to get into that discussion? But we had this huge debacle where we had a venue, like, double book people, and we had to last minute, like, switch venues. And our entire team was so skilled that we found a whole new venue day of, hours before, totally tore things apart, reset up, did it all. You want to talk about some more interesting wildlife? We watched a guy feed deer out of with dog treats out of his mouth that day too.
That dude is a horse whisperer of a top. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I
I
know.
don't think I realized the presence we were in with him.
Yeah.
He knew the queen, and
Yeah. Monty Roberts, I think, is his name. And by the way, anybody married in California, look up their wedding video. It's beautiful. Whispering Rose Ranch. And
Whispering Rose Ranch, yeah. I made some films on my YouTube channel highlighting the film and the BTS of the creation of us going through that whole debacle.
fabulous. Yeah. So let's quick, as we kind of wrap up, let's definitely shout out to, so you guys, Craig has some more videos coming out of some interviews him and I did too, with some more information. And yeah, Craig, shout out like your YouTube channel, or where can people find a lot more information? Because I know you're really good at interviewing people. Tell us a little bit.
So I'm doing more and more interviews with wedding professionals. If you go to my YouTube channel, if you just go to YouTube and type in Watertown Films, or at Watertown Films, WATERTOWN Films, you'll find that content. So if you're thinking about getting married in the Tetons, you could find some helpful information there. Did we make 5 films with it? We talk about what it's like getting married in the winter, some good wedding video venues to check out. We talked about, I interviewed you, so if couples want to get to know you a little bit more, they could just sit down. But that's going to be a good spot. And I also have another film. I did an elopement out there, and I just got a wedding lead for somebody eloping there next year, or this year now. But they watched that YouTube video where it just breaks down. It's kind of like a behind the scenes of like, hey, if you're thinking about getting married in the Tetons, this is the reality of what it looks like, especially in relation to an elopement. So yeah, they can find helpful information there.
Cool. Yay. I love that. Let's see. So anything else that you want to add before we wrap up? Obviously, I think, is it watertownfilms.com too?
Yeah.
Quick. Okay, cool. And then, of course, I'll have him tagged and linked in this video. But yeah, add in anything else that you want to tell people, and we can wrap up.
I think that's it. If you're looking to get married, reach out to one of us. Even if you're not even sure what you're doing, we're your guides. We can help point you in the direction. We have resources. It's an exciting thing that you're doing. It's a lot of planning, and putting together the right team can really just alleviate a lot of that stress and make sure that you end up with what you want.
Yep, 1,000%. I agree with Craig. Yeah, you know, once you have a good quality team, it just runs super smooth, and you just get to sit back and relax and live in the moment, and then you get to relive the moment whenever we send you your beautiful galleries and videos. So reach out if you guys are looking at booking a 2023 or 2024 wedding, and Craig and I look forward to chatting with you. Again, if anybody has questions, you're watching this replay, feel free to reach out, DM, email, whatever you guys, however you guys prefer to communicate back with, we can. But go give Craig a follow, and yeah, we'll be sharing. We're going to share I'll share some client work after we get off here that him and I have done together.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. See you later, Craig. Have a great day.
Bye. Thanks.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Again, Kayla is an amazing photographer, and if you're looking for a photographer or a wedding videographer for your wedding or elopement in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, be sure to reach out to us. My information and her information will be down below in the description. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. All right, so we have a wedding today, and we're talking about weather forecast. So tell me, what are you looking at?
A radar.
So we're looking at the weather, and we're looking at the storms in Utah?
Yeah, they're down in southern Utah and Idaho.
And what do you think about that?
I think that they're going to eventually hit Jackson Hole, but they're going to
Today.
move by, yes, but they're going to move by super quick.
So what should couples think about when they're thinking about weather in September?
Definitely layers and umbrellas.
Because it's cold, because the bride's already kind of chilly out here.
Yeah, it's a little breezy. The sun's not out. You know, it's a little bit of humidity in the air. But, you know, the main thing is to always plan for like crazy weather. And also plan for a beautiful sunset, because most likely the weather's going to hit and it's going to blow straight through.
Like it did yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
It was raining all day yesterday, and then the Tetons peaked out right at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So like today, even, it was supposed to be raining all day. And like I talked to my couple tomorrow too that's worried about the rain. And, you know, this is perfect weather because it's overcast. So nobody's like super squinty and like black, you know, going to get sunburn. So having clouds, having some rain is beautiful. It helps the mountains to pop because it makes the smoke go away. So I personally love rain. I love whenever those quick storms come through. It makes for beautiful sunsets.
So you find the storms here to be fast?
Yes, very fast. Usually, not always.
They come and go.
Mm-hmm. I've never had a wedding where it's just set and rain all day. I've had plenty of weddings where we've gotten a little delayed with a little bit of drizzle, but every single one we had a sunset.
Yeah.
Every single one. And this year we've had more rain than ever before. I would say probably 70 to 80% of my weddings this year have gotten some rain. It's just been a really wet year, which is great.